Good morning, class. Happy Friday to you guys. Hope all of you guys are doing well. Today for class, I'm going to finish up the notes with you in this video, so make sure that you have your notes out on your iPad. Maybe split screen this video in your notes, or watch the video then copy in the notes. But before I do that, I want to go through a couple important announcements. The first thing, as you saw yesterday, I put your comp review sheet in Schoology. Please use that review sheet to make a study guide in preparation for the comp. I'll go through that shortly. And you do have your test Tuesday after your study day on Chapter 13. It will be open book. All right, if you haven't done so already, please make sure you submit your Chapter 13, Section 4 and 5 worksheet. All right, I will be in school today. I'll be in my room after school, so if any of you want to pop in for any questions about any of the notes we covered, feel free to stop in anytime, from 3 o'clock to 3:30. If you want to stop in before you go on your bus, that's fine too. All right, before we get into the notes, I'm just going to go through a couple points in a review sheet. So if you want to have that out for this part of the video, that'd be great. If not, you can just listen in and then always use this video as a reference. So here it is, the Comp History 6 Comp Review Sheet. A couple important reminders. Your test is Thursday, June 16th. All right, the second to last exam. You'll have a study hall before that. Your room assignment I'll give you next week in class. What you should study for your test is your tests from trimester 1, 2, and 3, beginning with Chapter 2. The comp is cumulative from what we covered in September to what we finish today, pretty much. Your notes are also something good to use to study, as well as your first and second trimester exams. All right. I'm not going to go through all of these terms. Look down the terms in trimester 1, trimester 2 topics. So what I would like to do now is go through the structure of the exam. All right, so there's 3 parts to the exam. First part is part 1. It's 81% of the exam. It'll consist of 180 questions. The types of questions you'll see will be multiple choice, matching columns, true and false. All right, all types of questions you've seen throughout the school year. All right, the part 2 of the exam is 19%. Okay, it works mathematically. Usually it's been 80 and 20, but it's 19%. The short answer section, you'll have 2 options. All right, pick one of those 2 is worth 10 points. In the essay, you'll have 2 options. And the essay will be worth 9 points. Essay has to be in paragraph form, and I'll go through the essay topics and how you should complete, section A to part 2 and section B of part 2 next week in class. Okay. Session stop by after o'clock. I'll go through this more next week. Okay, but this is all the important terms from trimester 1, trimester 2 listed on this. Don't worry. Page 2, you can see there's more terms for trimester 3. And the possible essay. Here's a review sheet for you guys. If you have any questions on it, you want to, ask me in school, I will be in my room at trimester 3 that are on the exam. Or you may see people that we covered that are not review sheet. Those people. With that said, all right, take out your notes and let's finish up the notes for Chapter 13. So, yesterday we were talking about the fall of the Spanish Empire. These are the same notes that you have. They may look a little different. The event, all right, that really led to the collapse of Spain begins with King Philip. Right, King Philip became the monarch of Spain after King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella. All right, he wanted to make England a Catholic nation. As you learned yesterday, England became a Protestant nation under Henry VIII when he separated from the Catholic Church. Queen Elizabeth, who came to power in England after Henry VIII and after Queen Mary, she was determined to keep the Anglican Church. And she was willing to go to war against King Philip, who arguably had a more powerful navy at this time, in the 1500s. So King Philip, to assert his power and to force England into becoming Catholic and recognizing the Catholic Church, he sent the Spanish Armada, which was a fleet of naval warships built in Spain by Spain, and it kind of gave Spain control of the Atlantic. All right, the Spanish Armada consisted of 130 naval warships that were said to be invincible. England had a very small fleet at the time, but their ships were much faster. And in the English Channel, the English ships will defeat the Great Spanish Fleet. All right, many of those ships were sunk. And what is significant about the defeat of the Spanish Armada, so the English defeat of the Spanish Armada, is that it changed the balance of power in Europe. And Spain no longer had a monopoly on the New World. It's going to open up the New World to other European nations that we're going to talk about in Section 5. All right. So make sure you copy this down. If you miss anything, you can always pause the video and copy it down. All right. I know some of you might still be writing, but again, like I said, you can pause the video and fill it in. Moving on. All right, so Section 5, looking to explore the New World and the continuing search for is more European countries, West Passage. All right, the first country we're going to talk about is France, and you guys probably have, France in the title here. For some reason, the notes got all distorted on the video. Now, France is not as interested in gold as much as Spain and England. All right, they're more interested in fish and fur and taking control of those industries in Europe and in the New World. All right, so when they're coming to the New World, they're looking for fishing grounds, and they're also looking for grounds that would be great for hunting and gathering animals for their fur. All right, so the first explorer you need to know that sailed for France is Giovanni Verrazzano. Okay, you can cross out, the information on John Cabot. All right, that is not on the test Tuesday, and it's not on the comp. All right, Giovanni Verrazzano, he was an Italian-born explorer, and in 1524, France financed the voyage. Verrazzano set out looking for a Northwest Passage. All right, the Northwest Passage is the European idea that there is a passage northwest of Europe. All right, that would lead them to Asia. It would be a quicker and faster route instead of sailing south around Africa then to Asia. Okay, and Giovanni Verrazzano, he obviously did not discover a Northwest Passage, right, but what he does discover on his voyage is he discovers the mouth of the Hudson River. Okay, he sailed for France. He continued to explore areas around the Hudson River. He sailed a little south and explored the Chesapeake Bay and parts of what we believe was the Potomac River. All right, today there's a bridge named after him, the Verrazzano Bridge. It goes from Staten Island to Brooklyn, over the waters that we believe he sailed into. All right, and there's a picture of Giovanni Verrazzano there. So you do need to know who he is. All right, if you miss anything, you can pause it. All right, always go back and watch this video. All right, Jacques Cartier. Jacques Cartier is another explorer financed by France. He sailed in 1534. He is the person that gave France claim to what is Canada today. He sailed northwest of Europe, okay, and he is going to sail down the St. Lawrence River, okay, and he explores land and claims the land for France in what is present-day Montreal. So Montreal, which is a major city in Canada today, becomes New France thanks to Jacques Cartier. All right, so you will need to know he was a French explorer, and the most important description you'll need to know is that he gave the French claim to what is Canada today. All right, so make sure you get this down, copy down. All right, a lot of explorers here that you need to know. Next, we have Samuel de Champlain. All right, he's probably the most influential of all of the French explorers. Historians nicknamed the father of New France. He took a total of 11 voyages, okay, to the New World. And on those voyages, he helped build settlements that make up New France, settlements like Quebec, okay, which is one of the oldest cities in Canada today. He explored other lands along the St. Lawrence River. He basically used the maps from Jacques Cartier's voyage and explored deeper down the St. Lawrence River, helped build settlements like Montreal, Quebec, Kingston, Ontario. He didn't sail as far west as like Toronto, all right, but what is the province of Quebec today is pretty much all the territory that Samuel de Champlain explored and claimed for France. There's Lake Champlain in New York that's named after him. All right, historians believe he did explore, parts of northern New York. All right, so there's, French roots there, and unlike the Spanish, all right, the French will have a little bit more of a peaceful relationship with the natives, and Samuel de Champlain established trade with them. All right, he wanted to use them to help them take over or find the fishing grounds and the grounds to hunt animals for fur. All right, so that's what you need to know about Samuel de Champlain. You definitely need to know him for the test and for the comp. Okay, this slide you do not need to know. You can cross it off. All right, Jacques Marquette, Louis Joliet, they're not on the comp. There are other French explorers, all right, that went on from New France and they sailed west from the St. Lawrence through the Great Lakes. They were the first to travel up and down the Mississippi River, okay, and they gave French claim to, what becomes the heart of the United States, the center of the United States, and they helped grow the fur industry specifically. All right, but you don't need to know this. You can just cross off. Okay, the next country we're going to talk about that took claim in the Americas was Holland. All right, Holland was very interested and intrigued by the success Spain and France had and was willing to finance sailors from other countries for their country. Okay, and the first sailor that you need to know that they financed was Henry Hudson. All right, Henry Hudson was an English-born explorer who sails for both England and Holland. All right, he's going to make a total of 4 voyages, and his goal is to find a Northwest Passage, a passage to Asia. His first 2 voyages were financed by the English crown. England's trying to, take a foothold in the Americas, especially after their victory. They want to become a more powerful nation in Europe. And Henry Hudson's voyages, his first 2 voyages, are extremely unsuccessful. All right, he sailed way north of what is the United States and Canada today, towards the Arctic. Okay, and he found nothing but ice and glaciers. Right, they can't do much with that. So England refused to finance a 3rd voyage for Henry Hudson. All right, the Dutch chose to accept his plan for a 3rd voyage, and on his 3rd voyage, he's going to reach what is New York today. Okay, and he's going to claim what is New York today for Holland, for the Dutch, all right, for the Netherlands. He explored areas of the Hudson Bay. Okay, what is the Hudson Bay in New York today? And he sailed up the Hudson River, right? The Hudson Bay and Hudson River are named after him. Okay, and then on his 4th voyage, okay, England heard of his success. They financed his voyage. He sailed a little north of New York. He sailed into Canada. And on his 4th voyage, all right, his ship gets trapped in a bay in Canada, surrounded by ice, and the crew kind of grows weary of him as a captain, and they actually mutinied him and gave him a small little boat and his son and some other loyal crew members to Hudson were left in a boat with very little food, little supplies, adrift in the Hudson Bay, there's another Hudson Bay in Canada, like way north in Canada, and we never heard of Hudson and his son again. We know that the crew took over the ship and sailed back to England and just left Henry Hudson there, to decide his own fate, along with the son and some other loyal followers. So a couple other points, 2 more slides, but make sure you know who Henry Hudson is. Okay, know he made a total of 4 voyages, just like Columbus. Know that the Dutch financed his 3rd voyage, which was his most successful voyage, and that's what gave the Dutch claim to what is New York today. So this slide goes through the areas that the Dutch took claim to thanks to Henry Hudson. Right, they established the Dutch East India Company, which is a fur trading company. The colony that the Dutch set up originally had 300 settlers at Fort Orange, which was one of the most northern parts of the Hudson River. It's present-day Albany. Okay, and the Dutch colony expanded under Governor Peter Minuet when he purchased the island of Manhattan from Native Americans, and he purchased Manhattan for only $24. That was a pretty good deal, being what Manhattan, is today. You need to know that Governor Peter Minuet, purchased Manhattan from the Native Americans. He helped expand the Dutch settlement, which was referred to as the New Netherlands. Manhattan was renamed New Amsterdam and remained under control of the Dutch until the English come in and rename that New York. And you're going to learn more about that event and how that happened next year when you go through the English colonies. I'm not going to get too in-depth with this because now we're getting into American history, which you're going to learn next year. All right. And the last slide for the chapter is who truly discovered North America. So historians now believe, from artifacts, from historical writing that has been found in Scandinavia and parts of what is Newfoundland today, that Columbus was not the first European to arrive in North America, or what is known as the New World. And the Vikings did it 500 years prior to Columbus. As you remember, the Vikings were seafaring people from Scandinavia, the countries Norway, Sweden, and Denmark today. They were led by Leif Erikson. And Leif Erikson took a voyage to land that was supposedly west of Europe. It was just a rumor that he wanted to see if it was true, and he established a colony known as Vinland, which is Newfoundland today. So no, Leif Erikson was the first European to actually land in North America or discover that North America was west of Europe. All right, so this is the last slide for today. If you miss anything, you can go back and watch the video, and make sure you fill in these notes. If you have any questions, feel free to see me after school. All right, thank you, everybody. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you on Tuesday. All right, you will have an open book test. Use these notes to study. Take care. Bye, everybody.